So what we're looking to develop, so from a capacity point of view, how high you can jump, gymnastic centers can definitely aid in that type of training. From a capacity point of view, it can help in our ability to be able to step on a dime, so a deceleration ability, our ability to change direction on one limb, so a power cut, our ability to maneuver like a drop step, and also our ability to be able to project horizontally as well. So not just vertically, jumping as high as you can, but out in front. So if you can increase the distance that you get with your first three steps, for example, so aiding in acceleration. Because the floor is a little bit more friendly on the joints, using the long tramp, using the rectangle tramp, using the sprung floor, we're able to get more reps in. So not only does that help with our developing robustness and more conditioned tendons and muscles and bones, but it also helps from a coaching perspective to be able to develop good efficiency, good movement competency. So we can challenge the athlete simply by just getting more reps in, and that helps us accelerate their development from an athletic point of view. The 4 different floors that I've used more regularly, the long tramp, which you can use for a great way to warm up and get the athletes prepped for the session. It's also a great way to be able to work on some of those spins and different multi-directional type jumps. So for those ACL athletes, we might do some long tramp, repeat skater jumps, for example, or tuck jumps, put some pre-fatigue into the system. The air mat, which is more common at football clubs these days, around 10 to 15 meters long. Great way to intro drilling for those that haven't maybe had a lower limb injury and haven't been able to do any running-based work for a while. Our sprung floor, which is really good, particularly around our intensive accels. So that's a great one for things like bounding, both forward bounds, vertical, Bosov hops, tuck jumps, crossover bounds. So you can get all those different types of north, south, east, west hops. You can create circuits on there, which I've done before. And then we've just got large space, and that's where it's great to involve the coaches, bring the footballers in and work on landing mechanics, tumbling, so they prevent shoulder injuries, wrist injuries, elbows injuries. So perhaps you could also do it as a development for robustness sequence. I've had good success, like I said, with a couple of ACL, or commonly like more recently, Jake Melksham, AFL. He played quite a demanding game in terms of high intensity, both from a contest point of view as well as aerially. Had a good ability to be able to take pack marks and beat his opponent one-on-one. So agility and footwork were really important to him for his return to performance, and he found he took a lot of confidence out of using the gymnastic center for his knee, but also for his football as well. So it was a good block of work for about 6 weeks, 2 times a week in his program just before he was full training with the squad. So that can be a good opportunity to use it there when their athlete's really ready for that return to performance. So we've got 5 different levels, going from basic development where we're working on awareness and body awareness. So things like running mechanics, arabesques, quick feet ladder work, some just general skipping, and then progressing them towards your stock standard jumps and broad jumps and slalom jumps where you're jumping in different planes using that lateral vector. As we progress on, we're starting to add a bit more chaos into the system. So getting them to reflex using perturbation. So when they're jumping, they might be hit in the air, or you might push them in the air, work on their landing mechanics with that perturbation to mimic the game. You might get them to spin. You might put circuits together, like I said, to get a mixture of all the different vectors, vertical, horizontal, lateral. Use constraints like hurdles, aqua bags, bands to challenge their trunk lateral flexion. So we just want to add a fair bit of complexity as they get more competent and more used to the environment. Then the rectangle tramp, we typically would use that for a lot of the landing mechanics work and adding that into the circuit. And you can see the different drills and progressions that athletes would go through there. And then, like I mentioned, the long tramps where we get you might use it for warm up and introducing new movements because it's quite safe at the start of the session. And then perhaps some capacity-based work at the end where on command you're getting the athlete to stick. And that's where you might throw in some football components to it as well to work on their cognitive abilities or challenge their brain. So that's in terms of drill database.